After spending 9 hours in the rain installing a new roof to stop the leaks that were ruining her aesthetic, I came inside soaked and shivering. My wife didn't even look up from her phone. "You stink. Go take a shower before you touch anything I paid for," she said. Then she added, loud enough for her sister to hear, "Sometimes I wish he'd fall off that roof and save me the trouble." I got angry and showered in silence. Last week, she called me 37 times. I never thought I'd be posting here, but I need to get this off my chest. Throwaway for obvious reasons. My 31M wife Sophia, 29F, and I have been married for 5 years, together for 7. Looking back, there were red flags I ignored, but love makes you stupid sometimes. Last Tuesday, it was pouring rain, like biblical flooding type stuff. Our roof had been leaking for weeks, and Sophia kept complaining about how the water stains were completely ruining her aesthetic and making our place look tragic in her social posts. She'd been badgering me to fix it, saying she couldn't possibly invite her followers over for her little home tour series with the ceiling looking like that. So despite the weather forecast, I spent my day off tackling 9 straight hours in that downpour because I knew if I put it off again, I'd never hear the end of it. The wind was whipping. I was soaked to the bone within minutes. But I kept going because that's what you do when your house needs fixing, right? At least that's what my dad taught me. Fix what's broken. Take care of your own. By the time I finished, I was shivering so bad I could barely climb down the ladder. My fingers were pruned and numb, and I'd lost feeling in my toes around hour 6. All I wanted was a hot shower and maybe, I don't know, a thanks or some soup or literally anything that showed my wife gave half a damn about me nearly getting pneumonia to fix her precious aesthetic. I walked into our house dripping everywhere but trying to stay on the tile by the door. Sophia was sprawled on our $1,500 couch that I'm still paying off, scrolling through her phone. Her sister Willow was over, both of them drinking wine and laughing about something. Neither looked up when I came in. When Sophia finally noticed me, she didn't ask if I was okay or if the roof was fixed. She just looked at me with this disgusted expression and said she could smell me from across the room. Told me to go take a shower before I touched anything she paid for. Then, and this is what keeps replaying in my head, she turned to Willow and said loud enough to make sure I heard that sometimes she wishes I'd fall off that roof and save her the trouble. Willow laughed. Like my wife wishing I would die was just a cute little joke. I stood there, rain and probably tears mixing on my face, and Sophia just went back to her phone. I wanted to scream, but instead, I just went to shower in silence, stood under that hot water for 20 minutes, trying to feel something other than this hollow ache in my chest. That night, lying next to her while she scrolled through social media with her back to me, I started thinking about our finances. I realized I couldn't remember the last time Sophia contributed to our mortgage. She works, sort of, as an influencer, but most of her money goes to clothes, makeup, and weird subscription boxes that pile up unopened. The next morning, while she was at her Pilates class, I did something I've never done before. I looked at our accounts, really looked at them, found out she's opened 3 credit cards in my name, found out she's been transferring money from our joint account to her personal one every month. Small amounts, 200 here, 300 there, money I thought was going toward our future. I texted my buddy Carter asking if we could grab a beer. Needed someone to tell me I wasn't crazy. We met at this dive bar where nobody takes selfies, and I spilled everything. The roof, the comment about wishing I'd fall, the money. Carter just listened, nursing his beer, then asked a question that hit me like a truck. What would you tell me to do if I came to you with this story? I'd tell him to run. I'd tell him his wife doesn't respect him, doesn't love him, and is using him as an ATM with construction skills. That night, Sophia asked me to hang some shelves for her office corner, said she needed them for an Instagram partnership she'd landed. When I asked about the credit cards, she exploded, started crying, saying I was trying to control her, that I didn't support her career, that all her friends' husbands helped them without questioning every little expense. The next few days were tense. I started sleeping in the guest room, started looking closer at everything, found out the emergency money she borrowed for her mom's supposed medical bills went toward a weekend trip with Willow that she posted all over social, but somehow forgot to mention. Found out the roof wasn't even leaking that badly. She'd exaggerated because she wanted to redo the ceiling with some trendy pattern she'd seen online. Yesterday, I met with a divorce attorney. Didn't tell Sophia where I was going, just said I had errand. The lawyer laid it all out, how I should document everything, how to protect what's left of my assets, what to expect. It felt surreal sitting there, planning the end of my marriage, but also like I could finally breathe again. Last night, Carter helped me move some important stuff to his place. Important documents, family heirloom, the basic go bag the lawyer suggested. This morning, I left for work, but didn't come home. Turned off my phone. Spent the day thinking, driving around, sitting in parks, trying to figure out when my life turned into this mess and how I never saw it coming. When I finally turned my phone back on around midnight, I had 37 missed calls from Sophia, not because she was worried about me, but because the dishwasher had flooded and she needed me to fix it. I didn't call back. I'm writing this from Carter's couch, trying to figure out my next move. Part of me wants to just ghost completely, but the smarter play is to follow the lawyer's advice. Document everything. Protect my finances. Make sure I don't get completely screwed in the divorce. The roof was the last straw, but it was just a symptom of the real problem. I've spent years building a life with someone who sees me as nothing but a walking wallet and handyman, someone who wouldn't care if I fell off a roof tomorrow as long as I fixed the leak first. I'm done being taken advantage of. I'm done being the punchline to her jokes with Willow. I'm done watching my hard-earned money disappear into her endless pursuit of validation from strangers on the internet. This isn't going to be pretty, but for the first time in years, I feel like I'm standing up for myself. I know there's a storm coming, but I just spent 9 hours in the rain fixing a roof. I think I can handle whatever she throws at me next. We'll update when there's more to share. Thanks for reading if you made it this far. Update 1. First, I just want to say thanks for all the support on my last post. Reading your comments helped me realize I'm not crazy for feeling the way I do. Sorry for the delayed update. It's been a wild couple of weeks, so I mentioned I'd spent the night at Carter's place after the whole roof incident, and Sophia had blown up my phone with 37 calls. What I didn't mention was that not a single one of those voicemails asked if I was okay. Every single message was about the flooded dishwasher and how I needed to man up and come home to fix it. Day 2 of staying at Carter's, I woke up to 64 notifications, texts, calls, DMs on every platform we're connected on. The tone had shifted from demanding to slightly concerned. Not concerned for me, mind, but concerned about how this looked. Apparently, some of her followers had started asking where her husband was after she posted about having to call a plumber and spending $300 of our money. Meanwhile, I was following my lawyer's advice to the letter. First order of business: finances. I went to my bank and opened a new account at a completely different bank. Had my paychecks redirected there. Then I started combing through our credit card statements from the past 2 years. What I found made me physically sick. Remember those 3 credit cards in my name I mentioned? Turns out there were actually 5, with a combined balance of just over $24,000. Most of the charges were for online shopping, spa treatments, and weekend business trips I'd never heard about. There were also several large transfers to someone saved in the payment history as just D. I took all this to my lawyer, who just nodded like she'd seen it 1,000 times before. She helped me file fraud reports for the 2 cards I genuinely didn't know about, and started building a paper trail for the divorce. By day 4, Sophia's messages turned desperate. She'd called my mother, who I'd already briefed on the situation. Mom never liked Sophia anyway. She'd shown up at my workplace looking for me. She'd even filed a missing persons, which the police quickly closed after I called them to explain I was fine, just taking space from my marriage. That's when things got interesting. Carter and I were grabbing dinner when his phone lit up with a text from Willow. Apparently, Sophia had been telling everyone I was having a mental breakdown, that I'd been acting erratic for months, and that she was worried about my dangerous behavior. Carter showed Willow the screenshots I'd taken of the credit card statements, the fraud reports, the bank transfers, the 37 voicemails about the dishwasher, but not my well-being. The next morning, Willow called me directly. She sounded different, hesitant, almost embarrassed. She started by apologizing for laughing at Sophia's roof comment. Then she dropped a bomb. Sophia had been in contact with her ex, Damien, for months. Not just casual contact either. Willow had seen messages pop up on Sophia's phone during a girls' night, messages no married woman should be receiving. When confronted, Sophia had laughed it off as just harmless flirting that boosted her engagement numbers. I asked Willow who D might be in Sophia's payment apps. The silence before her answer told me everything. After a week of radio silence from me, while gathering evidence and getting my ducks in a row, I decided it was time to go home, not to reconcile, but to establish the new normal according to my lawyer's strategy. I needed to be in the house for legal reasons, needed to document our belongings, and honestly, I was tired of imposing on Carter. Though the man's a saint and never complained once. Walking into my own home felt strange, like I was entering a movie set of my former life. Sophia was on the couch, where else, scrolling through her phone. What else? But she jumped up when I walked in. The performance that followed would have been Oscar-worthy if it hadn't been so transparent. First came the tears and the desperate hug I sidestepped, then the rapid-fire question. Where had I been? Why hadn't I called? Did I know how worried she'd been? Then, when she realized I wasn't playing along with the concerned wife act, her tone shifted. She reminded me of all the things she'd done for me. I'm still trying to figure out what those were. She brought up how she'd supported my dreams, by which she meant not actively sabotaging my career. She even tried to make me feel guilty about the dishwasher flood that had apparently ruined her favorite shoes. I set my bag down, looked her in the eye, and told her I knew about the credit cards, about Damien, about the money transfer. Her face went through about 12 expressions in 2 seconds, finally settling on defensive anger. The next few hours were a blur of accusations, gaslighting, and some truly creative rewriting of our marital history. According to Sophia, I was controlling. I was stifling her creativity. I was jealous of her success. I never supported her dreams. The greatest hits of projection, basically. When I didn't react, she changed tactics, trying to seduce me, as if that would make me forget $24,000 of debt. That night, I slept in the guest room with the door locked. In the morning, I laid out the new rules. We're living separate lives under one roof until the divorce is finalized. I'm not fixing anything else in the house. She needs to contribute to household expenses for the first time in our marriage. All joint accounts are frozen. Already done. She has 30 days to explain the credit card charges or the fraud reports stand. She thought I was bluffing. Tested me the very next day when the garbage disposal jammed. Came into my office with that fake, sweet voice, asking if I could take a quick look at it. I smiled, handed her the card of a local handyman, and went back to my laptop. The look on her face was priceless, like she'd just discovered gravity wasn't real. Then came the real test. 3 days after my return, we had a massive thunderstorm. Guess what started leaking? The roof. The same roof I'd spent 9 hours fixing in the rain. Turns out, Sophia had hired someone to inspect my work while I was gone, and they'd somehow made it worse. Probably because she hired the cheapest person she could find on a TaskRabbit app. Water was dripping right onto her precious vanity setup where she filmed her makeup tutorial. She came running to me in a panic, actually grabbing my arm and trying to pull me toward the ladder in the garage. I gently removed her hand and suggested she try standing on a chair and holding a bucket since that's what she'd expected me to do for months whenever something in the house broke. Then, I grabbed my jacket and went to meet Knox, my old mentor, for advice on starting my own contracting business. The psychological warfare from Sophia escalated after that. She tried turning our friends against me, but stopped when I started showing them the credit card statements. She tried working Willow as an intermediary, but that backfired when Willow took my side. She even called my mother crying, but Mom just told her she'd always seen through her act. Her final play was posting vague, sympathy fishing statuses online about going through a difficult time and discovering who's really there for you. Her followers ate it up, sending heart emojis and stay strong messages. But her real friends, the ones who knew us both, were notably silent. This morning marked 2 weeks since I came back home. I woke up to find Sophia sitting at the kitchen table, looking defeated for the first time since I've known her. No phone in sight. She pushed a folder toward me. Bank statements, showing she'd paid off 2 of the credit cards from her personal savings. It barely made a dent in what she owes, but it was the first genuine acknowledgement that she'd screwed up. Then she asked if we could talk about giving things another try. I almost laughed. Instead, I told her I'd already found an apartment and would be moving out next week. And then I showed her what I'd discovered last night. Messages between her and Damien planning a weekend together for the exact days I was missing. A weekend that never happened because she was too busy dealing with the fallout of my disappearance. She's been calling Willow for the past 3 hours straight. Willow's been texting me the highlights. Apparently, Sophia never expected consequences to actually apply to her. The lease on my new place starts Monday. Carter's helping me move. The divorce papers are ready to file. Sometimes fixing a roof isn't enough when the whole foundation is rotten. Finally, update. It's been 3 months since my last post, and honestly, I wasn't planning on writing another update. But I woke up today to a weird notification. Sophia had tagged me in an old photo from our honeymoon. First time my phone's buzzed with her name in weeks. Strange how something so small can still make your stomach drop, even when you're supposedly over it. So I figured I'd give you guys the closure you deserve after following this train wreck. Pour yourself something strong. This one's a journey. Moving into my apartment was weirdly anticlimactic. Just a regular Tuesday. Carter helped me haul the essentials, my bed, TV, clothes, and tools. The place is small, just 1 bedroom, but the rent is decent, and more importantly, there's no one here calling me useless while simultaneously demanding I fix everything. The first night, I ordered pizza, sat on my half-assembled IKEA couch, and felt something I hadn't in years. Peace. No walking on eggshells, no critiques about crumbs or fingerprints, no passive-aggressive sighs when I wanted to watch sports. But of course, Sophia wasn't going down without a fight. First came the love-bombing texts, how much she missed me, how the house felt empty, how she'd been doing so much work on herself. Translation, she watched a few TikTok therapy videos. When that didn't work, she tried guilt, photos of leaks I wasn't there to fix, screenshots of plumber estimates that were bankrupting her, sad selfies with captions about healing from betrayal that her followers ate up like candy. Meanwhile, Damien resurfaced. Remember him? The mystery D from her payment apps? Apparently, once he realized Sophia might soon be single, and mistakenly thought she'd have money from the divorce, he was suddenly very interested in rekindling things. Willow caught them having lunch at a cafe near my house. When confronted, Sophia claimed they were just discussing business opportunities. Yeah, right. What kind of business gets conducted with footsie under the table? Willow's words, not mine. The divorce proceedings started getting real about a month in. The look on Sophia's face when she realized I had documented everything was almost worth the $24,000 in credit card debt she'd racked up. Almost. Her lawyer, some dude fresh out of law school who kept calling me sir, despite being maybe 3 years younger, tried arguing that Sophia contributed significantly to the household in non-financial ways. When my lawyer asked for specific examples, he mentioned her building her brand from our home and creating content that indirectly promoted my services. My lawyer, who's honestly worth every penny, simply pulled out the folder of screenshots. Sophia's comments about wishing I'd fall off the roof, texts to friends complaining about having to pretend to like my cooking, and of course, the credit card statements showing charges for services I supposedly provided, but she actually hired out behind my back. The meltdown that followed was epic. Tissues everywhere, mascara rivers, the works. Her lawyer looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. Back at the house, things were deteriorating. Literally. Remember that roof I fixed? The one that started this whole saga? Turns out Sophia's bargain bin handyman had actually damaged the underlayment, and water was now leaking into multiple rooms. She called me 15 times in one day, progressively more desperate, ending with an actual sobbing voicemail begging me to just come look at it. I sent Knox instead. He's semi-retired now, but still the best roofer I know. He quoted her $7,000 to fix it properly, about $6,000 more than she expected. According to Knox, she actually tried to flirt her way to a discount on my 62-year-old mentor, who's been happily married for 35 years, to a woman who could bench press both of us. The financial reality began hitting Sophia hard around week 6, with me no longer bankrolling her lifestyle, paying for all the household fixes, and covering the mortgage while she spent her income on clothes and makeup. She was suddenly drowning. Her career took a hit too. Turns out authentic content about divorce doesn't sell face creams, as well as aspirational couple goals posts. Who knew? She tried moving Damien in to split costs, but that lasted all of 9 days before he bailed. Apparently, he was expecting the pre-divorce Sophia, the one with the seemingly endless budget for dinners out and weekend trips. The real Sophia, the one who now had to check her bank balance before ordering takeout, wasn't nearly as appealing. 2 months in, we had our final settlement meeting. Sophia showed up looking different. Less makeup, simpler clothes, dark roots showing in her usually perfect blonde. For a split second, she looked like the girl I'd fallen for years ago, before the filters and fillers and facade. That glimpse of the real person underneath the influencer veneer almost made me falter. Almost. The terms were fair but firm. The house would be sold, debts divided equitably, meaning she took the credit card debt she created, and we'd split whatever was left from the house sale after the mortgage was paid. Given the housing market and the now extensive water damage, that wouldn't be much. She tried one last Hail Mary, claiming emotional distress and asking for more support. When that failed, she finally signed the papers. I thought that would be the end of it. Sign, separate, move on. But life's rarely that clean. Last week, I was at the hardware store picking up supplies when I literally bumped carts with Sophia. For a second, we just stared at each other like we were seeing ghosts. She looked tired. Not Instagram filter tired chic, but genuinely exhausted. Her cart held basic cleaning supplies, ramen packages, and a plunger. Mine had power tools and materials for a deck I'm building at Carter's place. We ended up grabbing coffee. Awkward doesn't begin to describe it. She stirred her drink for a solid minute before telling me the house was officially on the market, listed well below what we'd hoped due to the extensive repairs needed. She'd found a small studio apartment she could afford on her own. She'd gotten a part-time retail job to supplement her declining social media revenue. Then she said something I never expected. She apologized. Not a manipulative, self-serving apology, but a genuine acknowledgement that she'd treated me like crap, that she'd taken me for granted, that she'd focused so much on appearing perfect online, that she'd forgotten how to be decent offline. I didn't say much, just nodded and wished her luck. As we were leaving, she asked if I'd looked at any of her recent posts. I hadn't. Had her blocked on everything since the divorce filed. She pulled up her profile and showed me her latest video. What I learned from my divorce, taking accountability. It had more views than anything she'd posted in months. Walking back to my car, I felt strange, not vindicated or smug, just released. Like I'd finally set down a weight I'd been carrying so long, I'd forgotten it was there. Yesterday, I finished a small roofing job for a single mom in my neighborhood. Nothing fancy, just patching some shingles damaged in the last storm. When I finished, she insisted on making me lunch, a simple sandwich and chips, eaten at her kitchen table while her kid showed me his Minecraft world. She didn't take a single photo of the fixed roof for social media, didn't mention how it would look on her feed, just smiled, said thanks, said these, and paid me fairly for honest work. As I was packing up my tools, my phone buzzed with a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was Willow. She wanted to let me know Sophia had finally come clean to their parents about everything. The credit cards, Damien, all of it. She'd moved into her studio and was actually trying to get her shit together for once. The text ended with Willow apologizing again for her part in everything and saying I deserved better than what they'd put me through. I closed my truck toolbox and looked up at the roof I'd just fixed. Solid work, no leaks, built to last. The kind of roof that doesn't need filters or followers or constant attention to do its job. Sometimes you have to tear down to rebuild. Sometimes what looks like destruction is actually the first step towards something better. I'm not saying I'm grateful for what happened. Those were 5 years of my life I can't get back. But I'm building something new now, something more weatherproof,